"Mom's sick, so I came instead." A little girl walked into the CEO's office, what the millionaire did. "Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. It was a chilly morning in the city when a little girl named Lily nervously stepped into the sleek, modern office of one of the most powerful CEOs in the country, David Carter. She had no idea who he was, nor did she understand the magnitude of the building she was standing in. Her hands were tightly clutching a small, crumpled note from her mother, telling her to deliver an important message to Mr. Carter. The CEO had been expecting a meeting with her mother, but Lily, barely able to hold herself together, had to take her place. Her mother was sick, bedridden with a fever that had worsened overnight, and there was no one else who could go. So, with trembling legs and a heavy heart, Lily walked through the towering glass doors, unaware of the chain of events she was about to set in motion. As she stood in front of the polished receptionist desk, Lily could feel her palms sweating. The cold air from the air conditioning made her feel smaller than she already was, but she knew she had no choice but to press on. After a quick exchange, she was escorted to the CEO's office. The door opened, and there he was. Mr. Carter, sitting behind a massive mahogany desk, was looking at his phone, completely unaware of her presence. Lily hesitated, taking in the sight of the room. Leather chairs, floor-to-ceiling windows, and the unmistakable aura of wealth. She had never been in a place like this before. "Excuse me, sir," she said in a small voice. David Carter looked up from his phone, startled at first by the tiny figure standing in front of him. His gaze softened when he saw the nervousness in her eyes. "Yes?" he asked, his deep voice surprisingly gentle. Lily cleared her throat. "I'm here to meet with you, sir," she said, her voice trembling slightly. David raised an eyebrow, his confusion apparent. "With me?" he repeated, glancing at his assistant, who had informed him earlier about a possible reschedule for today's meeting. "I believe you were expecting my mother," Lily added, her face turning red with embarrassment. She's not feeling well. She asked me to come instead." For a moment there was a pause. David studied the little girl before him. He had expected a sharp businesswoman, not a young child in a dress that looked slightly too big for her. But there was something in her eyes, a quiet determination that caught him off guard. "Of course," he said, standing up from his desk. "Please, come in." Lily walked in slowly, her nerves now beginning to show more than ever. She had no idea what this meeting would lead to, but she could already tell that her life was about to change. David, still puzzled, motioned for her to sit across from him. The room was filled with an awkward silence, one that Lily didn't know how to break. She shifted uncomfortably in her chair, unsure of what to say next. As she fumbled with the note in her lap, David took a deep breath and decided to start the conversation. "So, what can I do for your mother?" he asked, his tone softer now. Lily hesitated, then looked up at him. "She wanted to ask about the charity event you're hosting next month. She's been really sick, but she wanted to make sure everything was set for the children's program she's been working on." David blinked in surprise. He didn't expect a young girl to know about such things. As the words left her lips, something in his heart shifted. He realized that this wasn't just a simple business meeting. It was a chance to make a real difference. And so, this unlikely encounter began to spark something far beyond what either of them could have predicted. The meeting continued in an awkward silence as Lily fidgeted in her seat, unsure of what to say next. David, still processing the fact that a little girl had walked into his office in place of her sick mother, tried to push his confusion aside and focus on the conversation at hand. He could see the anxiety in Lily's eyes. Despite her small stature, there was a quiet strength about her, a resilience he couldn't quite place. He cleared his throat, deciding to take the lead. "So, your mother was involved in the children's program for the charity event. What exactly is it that she wanted to discuss?" he asked, trying to make the situation more comfortable. Lily, her hands still clutching the crumpled note, took a deep breath. She had rehearsed the message her mother asked her to deliver 100 times in her head, But now that she was here, facing a powerful man she didn't know, the words seemed to escape her. She wanted to make sure everything was ready for the kids' activities at the event. She's been working on it for months, but... Lily hesitated, her voice trailing off. But she couldn't make it. She's really sick. David nodded slowly, taking in her words. He had heard about the charity event, of course, but he had never really paid attention to the smaller details. The thought of someone like Lily's mother, so dedicated to helping children, moved him in a way he didn't expect. He glanced at the paperwork on his desk, then back at Lily. "I see," he said, his tone softening. "Tell you what, Lily, I'll personally make sure everything is taken care of for your mother's program. If she can't be here, I'll make sure it's just as she envisioned it." Lily looked up at him, surprised. She hadn't expected such a response. For a moment, she just stared at him, unsure whether she had heard him correctly. "Really?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. David smiled warmly. "Really? Your mother has done great work, and I can see that she cares a lot about this. I'll make sure everything is perfect." There was something in David's voice, a sincerity that she hadn't expected from someone so important. He wasn't just another businessman. He was a man who truly cared about the people around him, even if they were strangers. "Thank you," Lily whispered, her heart swelling with gratitude. "You have no idea how much this means to me and my mom." David nodded, but before he could respond, Lily's phone buzzed in her pocket, snapping her out of the moment. She quickly pulled it out, glancing at the screen. It was a text from her mother, saying that she was feeling a little better, but still in bed. Lily's face softened. "My mom just texted me," she said, a slight smile forming on her lips. "She's feeling a little better now, but she won't be able to get out of bed for a while." David looked at Lily with a kind expression. "Tell her not to worry about a thing," he said. "We'll take care of everything here. You just focus on taking care of her." For a brief moment, Lily felt a sense of relief. The burden of worry she had been carrying for days seemed to lift, even if just a little. She smiled, tucking her phone back into her pocket. "Thank you," she said again, her voice filled with emotion. "You've been so kind." David's smile widened. "It's the least I could do. Now, why don't you stay for a while? I can show you around the building if you'd like." Lily hesitated for a moment. She had never been in a place like this before, and the idea of walking around with the CEO of a major company felt a little overwhelming. But then again, she realized that her mother had trusted her to take care of this meeting, and this was part of it. She nodded slowly, her curiosity getting the best of her. "Okay," she said, her voice steadier now. "I'd like that." David stood up from his desk and motioned for her to follow him. As they walked out of the office, Lily couldn't help but feel like this was the beginning of something new, something unexpected, something that might change everything. They walked through the corridors of the building. Lily's eyes wide as she took in the vastness of the space. She had never seen anything like it before. Polished floors, modern artwork on the walls, and employees working diligently at their desks. Everything about this place screamed power and wealth. But as she walked beside David, she began to realize that there was more to him than just his title. He was a man who cared about the people around him, a man who was willing to help a stranger simply because it was the right thing to do. As they reached the elevator, David turned to her. "I'm glad you came today, Lily," he said with a sincere smile. "I think your mother would be proud of you." Lily smiled back, feeling a warmth in her chest. "Thank you," she said quietly. She hadn't expected to hear those words from someone like him, but somehow they made everything feel okay again. Little did she know, this day would mark the start of a new chapter in her life. "I'll do my best to follow your instructions," continuing from the previous parts of the story. The following day, Lily woke up in her small apartment, feeling a strange sense of relief she hadn't experienced in weeks. She thought back to the meeting with David the day before, her heart still warm with gratitude for the kindness he had shown her. As the morning sun filtered through her curtains, she couldn't help but smile as she remembered the calm and genuine tone he had used. There was something different about him, something that made her feel like she was more than just a small part of his busy world. But there was still a lingering question in her mind. Why would someone like him, someone with so much power and wealth, care about someone like her? The thought nagged at her as she got dressed and prepared to face another day. Her schedule was tight, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something important was beginning to shift in her life. She grabbed her bag, which still had the card David had given her, and left for work. As she walked through the bustling streets, she couldn't help but wonder if she was just being naive, or if there was truly something more to the unexpected encounter. The day passed in a blur. Lily worked at a small art supply store, helping customers pick out materials for their projects. It wasn't glamorous, but it was enough to get by. She dreamed of a different life, one where she could open her own art studio, but for now, those dreams felt distant. When the clock struck 5, Lily packed up her things and prepared to head home. She had just stepped outside when her phone buzzed. A text message from an unknown number appeared on the screen. "It's David Carter. I hope you're doing well. I'd like to meet again tomorrow, if you're available. There's something important I'd like to discuss." Lily's heart skipped a beat. She stared at the message for a moment, unsure of how to respond. The last thing she wanted was to make a fool of herself, but there was something about his words that made her feel like she couldn't ignore it. She typed a quick reply, "I'd be happy to meet tomorrow. Thank you for reaching out." The next day, Lily found herself standing in front of the towering building where David worked. Her nerves were on edge, but she forced herself to take a deep breath and walk inside. The lobby was sleek and modern, a far cry from the small art shop where she worked. She approached the receptionist and mentioned that she had a meeting with David Carter. A few moments later, she was escorted to his office. David greeted her with a smile when she entered, his calm presence putting her at ease. "Lily, I'm glad you could make it," he said, motioning for her to sit. As she settled into the chair across from him, she couldn't help but feel a little out of place. The office was pristine, filled with expensive art and furniture. It was hard to believe she was sitting here, talking to one of the most successful CEOs in the country. "I wanted to talk to you about something important," David said, his expression serious. "I've been thinking a lot about our conversation yesterday, and I feel like I should offer you something more than just my words." Lily looked at him, her curiosity piqued. "What do you mean?" "I've been involved in charity work for years, and I've seen how small acts of kindness can change lives. You showed me that yesterday, and I want to help you," David explained. Lily's eyes widened in surprise. "Help me? I don't understand." David leaned forward slightly, his voice gentle but firm. "I want to help you pursue your dream. I know you've been struggling, and I believe in what you're capable of. I can provide you with the resources to open your own art studio. All you need to do is accept the opportunity." Lily felt her heart race. She had dreamed of opening her own studio for years, but she never thought it would actually happen. "I don't know what to say," she whispered, overwhelmed by the offer. David smiled. "You don't have to say anything right now. Think about it, and let me know your decision. But just know this, I'm offering this not because I feel sorry for you, but because I believe you have something special." Lily sat in silence, her mind spinning. This was the opportunity of a lifetime, but it also felt too good to be true. How could someone like David Carter, someone with so much power, care enough about her to offer something like this? She glanced at him, wondering if there was a hidden agenda behind his kindness. "Why me?" she asked softly. David's gaze softened as he answered, "Because you reminded me of something I've lost. Hope. You showed me that even in the hardest of times, there's always a chance for something good to happen." For the first time, Lily felt a sense of clarity. Maybe, just maybe, this was the turning point she had been waiting for. She didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like she had a chance at something more. "Thank you," she said quietly. "I'll think about it." David nodded, standing up and offering his hand. "Take your time. I'm here if you need anything." As Lily walked out of the building, her heart was lighter than it had been in months. She wasn't sure what the future held, but she knew one thing for certain. This was the beginning of something new, something that could change everything. I had no idea what to expect, but as the days passed after David's offer, Lily found herself reflecting on it more and more. The idea of opening her own art studio, something she had dreamed about for years, seemed within reach now, but doubt still lingered in the back of her mind. Could she really accept such a generous offer from someone like him? She hadn't asked for help, and she certainly hadn't expected it. But something about David's genuine kindness made her wonder if it was worth taking the chance. As the weekend approached, she had made up her mind. She would meet him again. She needed to know if this was real, or if it was all just some sort of mistake. She arrived at his office, feeling the familiar flutter of nerves in her chest. This time, though, it was different. She was prepared to face him, to ask the questions that had been bothering her. David greeted her warmly, as always, and invited her into his office. This time, there was no hesitation. There was no nervousness. Lily knew why she was here. "David," she began, trying to steady her voice, "I've been thinking about your offer, and I want to know, why are you doing this for me?" David looked up from his desk, his expression thoughtful. "Because I believe in you, Lily. I believe in what you can do. You have a passion, a dream, and you deserve the chance to pursue it. I'm offering you this because it's the right thing to do, not because I want anything in return." His voice was calm, steady, and it made Lily's heart race. She had been expecting some sort of business agenda, some reason behind the generosity, but instead, she found only sincerity. She didn't know what to say. The truth was, she had never been given an opportunity like this. The idea of taking it was both thrilling and terrifying at the same time. "I don't know what to say," she whispered, her voice shaking slightly. "I've always dreamed of having my own studio, but I've never thought it could actually happen. This feels unreal." David smiled gently, his eyes softening as he looked at her. "I understand. It's a big step, but I'm confident in your abilities. You just need someone to believe in you, and that's what I'm here for." Lily's mind raced. This was the chance she had been waiting for, the opportunity to change everything. But at the same time, she couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. "And what do you expect in return?" she asked cautiously. David's gaze never wavered. "Nothing," he replied simply. "I don't expect anything from you. I just want to help. You've shown me something that I had almost forgotten: kindness, the kind of kindness that can change a person's life. I want to give you the chance to make your dream a reality." Lily was silent for a moment, processing his words. She had always been independent, never wanting to owe anyone anything, but here was David, offering her the world without any strings attached. Was it really that simple? Could she trust him? "You don't owe me anything," David continued, breaking the silence. "But if you decide to take this opportunity, I will be here to help you every step of the way. This is your chance, Lily. You can make it happen. You just have to believe in yourself." His words resonated with her deeply. She had spent so much time doubting herself, so much time wondering if she would ever make it out of the cycle of struggle. But now, she was being offered a way out, a real chance. "Thank you," she said quietly, her voice filled with emotion. "I don't know how to thank you for this, but I will make the most of it, I promise." David smiled, and in that moment, Lily felt something inside her shift. The weight of her past, the doubts, the fear, seemed to lift just a little. She was no longer just a girl with a dream. She was someone who had been given a chance to make that dream come true. As she left his office, a sense of excitement began to build inside her. This was only the beginning. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like she could actually do it. Her future, her studio, her dreams, they were within reach. And she wasn't going to let this opportunity slip away. "I can feel my heart racing, but the excitement bubbling within me is so much more intense than the fear. This could actually happen. This could be the opportunity I've waited for my entire life." The thought of opening my own art studio, something I've dreamed of for years, no longer feels like a distant fantasy. It's real now. It's happening. But as I sit across from David in his sleek, modern office, I can't help but wonder about his motivations. Why is he doing this for me? What does he expect in return? I've always prided myself on being independent, on working for everything I've ever had. And yet, here he is, offering me everything I could ever need to make my dreams come true. My fingers tremble as I clutch the edge of the chair, my mind racing. David's gaze never wavers as he watches me, sensing the hesitation I'm struggling to hide. He's not pushing me, not rushing me. Instead, there's something in his expression that tells me he genuinely wants to help. "You're thinking about it too much, Lily," he says with a soft smile, breaking the silence. "I can see the doubt in your eyes. You don't have to decide right now. Take your time. Just know that I'm here to help you make this happen." I nod slowly, trying to absorb the weight of his words. It's just so overwhelming. The sheer kindness and generosity he's showing me. It's not something I'm used to. But deep down, I know that this could be my one shot, the chance I've been waiting for to change my life. Thank you, I say, my voice barely above a whisper. I don't know what to say. This is all so much. David leans back in his chair, his expression softening. You don't have to say anything. Just know that I believe in you, and I want to help you get where you deserve to be. I swallow hard, the emotions threatening to overwhelm me. He believes in me. That simple phrase has more weight than anything else in the world. For so long, I've felt like I was always falling short, never quite good enough. But David's belief in me feels like a lifeline, something that might actually help me believe in myself. I take a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. I'll do it, I finally say, the words feeling like they're coming from a place I didn't even know existed inside me. I'll take the chance. David's smile widens, and there's a glimmer of something in his eyes. Relief, perhaps? I'm glad to hear that, Lily. You won't regret this. I'll make sure you have everything you need to get started. We'll work together every step of the way. As I leave his office, I feel like I'm walking on air. There's a part of me that still can't quite believe what just happened, but another part of me knows this is real. This is the moment that could change everything for me. The world suddenly feels different. I walk through the busy streets of the city, the sound of cars and people fading into the background. I'm already imagining what my studio could look like. The open space, the walls lined with paintings and sketches, the light streaming in from the large windows. It's all within reach now. For the first time in years, I feel like I have control over my future. I can see it all coming together. But there's one thing I can't shake. Why would David do all of this for me? Why would someone with so much power and wealth care so much about someone like me? I think about his words, he believes in me. But is that really enough? Is it really just that simple? As the days pass, I can't help but replay the moment in my mind over and over again. David's words, his kindness, it all feels like a dream. And I'm afraid that I might wake up and realize it was never real. But the more I think about it, the more I realize that this is my chance. My chance to prove to myself that I can do something more than just survive. I can thrive. I can build something beautiful, something lasting. And this time, I'm not alone. I have someone who believes in me. As I settle back into my routine, my mind is constantly occupied with thoughts of the future. The work ahead, the plans, the possibility of success, it's all so exciting. But there's still a part of me that's afraid. Afraid of failing, afraid of letting David down, afraid of the unknown. I know this won't be easy. Nothing worth having ever is. But for the first time in a long time, I feel like I have the strength to face whatever comes my way. And that strength is something I've never had before. It's something David has given me, and for that, I'm grateful. I still can't believe this is happening. Every day feels like a new opportunity, a step closer to the future I've always dreamed of. The plans are slowly coming together, and David's continued support has been a constant reassurance. Yet, despite everything, there's a lingering doubt I can't shake. Am I truly worthy of this? The life I've always imagined seems so far beyond reach, yet here it is, right in front of me. I've been given the chance, but what if I mess it up? I've always worked hard, but what if hard work isn't enough? My days are filled with meetings, planning, and organizing everything that's needed for the studio. David's team has been incredibly helpful, providing resources and advice, making the whole process feel smoother than I ever expected. But as the days go on, I can't ignore the whispers in my mind. What does David expect from me? Why is he doing all of this for me? It's not like I've done anything extraordinary yet. I haven't proven myself. And still, he continues to stand by me, offering help and encouragement at every turn. I try to focus on the work ahead, to pour my energy into making this studio the best it can be. The walls are starting to take shape, and the first few pieces of artwork are beginning to line the space. It's all happening so fast. I've never worked on anything so big before, and it's thrilling. Every day feels like a small victory, but the weight of it all is starting to hit me. The pressure to succeed, to prove myself, it's overwhelming. One evening, as I'm staying late at the studio, organizing and putting the final touches on the space, I receive another message from David. How are things going? I wanted to check in. Let me know if you need anything. The simple message makes my chest tighten. It's kind, reassuring, but it also reminds me of the expectations he must have for me. I wonder, for the first time, what would happen if I don't live up to them? What if this is all just too much for me? I'm just a small-town girl with big dreams, and sometimes it feels like the weight of the world is on my shoulders. I glance around the room, at the unfinished walls and empty spaces, and I feel both a sense of accomplishment and a nagging fear. Is this what I really want? Or is this just what I think I'm supposed to want? As I sit there, lost in my thoughts, I hear a soft knock on the door. It's David. He's standing in the doorway, looking casual but serious, as always. "Hey, Lily. I thought I'd come by and see how things are going," he says with a warm smile. His presence is comforting, but at the same time, it's another reminder of the weight I'm carrying. "It's coming together," I say, trying to sound confident. But even as I say the words, I can feel the uncertainty in my voice. I just want it to be perfect. David steps inside and walks over to where I'm standing, taking a moment to look around the space. "You're doing great, you know," he says, his voice calm. "You're working hard, and that's what matters most. Don't worry about being perfect. You're already doing something incredible just by being here, taking the first step." His words catch me off guard. I'm so used to feeling like I have to do everything perfectly. But David's gentle reassurance makes me realize that maybe I don't need to be perfect. Maybe the journey itself is the real achievement. "Thank you," I whisper, my eyes welling up with emotion. "I don't know what I would have done without your help." David smiles again, his gaze softening. "I believe in you, Lily. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep going." His words hit me harder than I expect, and suddenly, the weight I've been carrying seems a little lighter. I look at the space around me, at the walls and the floors, and for the first time in a long time, I feel hopeful. I can do this. I don't have to be perfect. I just have to keep going. And with that thought, a sense of clarity washes over me. I can't control everything, but I can control my actions, my determination, and my willingness to keep moving forward. "I'm ready," I say, more to myself than to David. "I'm ready to make this happen." David nods, his expression proud. That's the spirit. And in that moment, I know that I'm not alone in this. With David's belief in me and my own growing confidence, I know I can build the life I've always dreamed of. It won't be easy, but I'm ready for it. I'm ready to take that next step, to make this studio a reality. And most of all, I'm ready to prove to myself that I can do it. I couldn't help but feel a surge of energy as I walked into the art studio, the space I had worked so hard to build over the last few months. It wasn't perfect, not by a long shot, but it was mine. It was everything I had dreamed of, and now it was finally becoming a reality. The walls were adorned with my own paintings, my own creations, and the light streaming through the large windows made everything glow in a way I hadn't imagined. It was the culmination of years of struggle, of sacrifice, and most importantly, of belief. David's belief in me had never wavered. He had given me the opportunity, the tools, and the support I needed to make this happen. And now, standing here, it felt like the beginning of something much bigger than just a small studio. As I walked across the room, my eyes caught the card he had given me that day. It had remained in my bag for weeks, a reminder of the turning point in my life. But today, it felt different. Today, I wasn't just holding on to the hope of a dream. I was living it. The phone in my pocket buzzed, interrupting my thoughts. It was a message from David. "How are things going? I hope everything is coming together." I smiled as I read the message. It wasn't just a business check-in. It was the kind of message that showed he genuinely cared. I quickly typed a reply. "It's coming along great, David. The studio is finally taking shape. I can't believe how much has changed." I paused for a moment, feeling a lump form in my throat. I added, "Thank you for everything. I wouldn't be here without you." The reply came almost immediately. "I'm proud of you, Lily. You've done all the hard work. I just gave you the chance. You've proven that you're capable of far more than you realize." Those words hit me harder than I expected. I had been so focused on the challenges ahead, the doubts creeping in, that I hadn't fully recognized just how far I had come. I had achieved something real, and it wasn't just about the studio. It was about the transformation I had undergone, the confidence I had gained, and the belief I now had in myself. I was no longer the girl who doubted if she could ever make it. I was the woman who had made her dream come true. As the evening approached, the studio began to fill with people, artists, customers, and supporters who had seen the progress I had made. They marveled at the space, the artwork, and the vision that had brought it all together. And in that moment, I realized that it wasn't just the physical space I had created. It was the community I was building, the connections I was forging, and the way my work was starting to impact others. David's message had reminded me of the bigger picture. It wasn't just about running a successful business or achieving fame. It was about the impact I could have, the lives I could touch through my art, and the way I could give back. As I stood there, surrounded by people who appreciated what I had done, I realized how much I had grown. A year ago, I never would have believed that I could be here, standing in my own studio, surrounded by people who supported me. And none of it would have been possible without David. I thought about the first time I had walked into his office, so unsure of myself, so uncertain of my place in the world. But David had seen something in me that I hadn't seen in myself. He had given me a chance, and in doing so, he had changed the trajectory of my life. As the night wore on and the last of the visitors left, I took a moment to stand in the center of the studio, breathing it all in. The warm glow of the lights, the artwork on the walls, the quiet hum of the city outside it all felt so surreal. But it was real. It was my reality. And I couldn't wait to see what the future held. I knew there would be challenges ahead. There would be times when I doubted myself again, when the weight of it all felt too heavy. But I also knew that I had come this far. And I wasn't about to stop now. I had a purpose, a vision, and the determination to make it work. With every brushstroke, with every piece of art, I was building something more than just a studio. I was building a life. And for the first time in a long time, I knew I was exactly where I was supposed to be. I stood in the middle of the studio, taking in everything I had worked so hard for. The walls were adorned with paintings, sketches, and photographs, each piece telling its own story, each one representing a piece of me. The soft hum of the lights above seemed to reflect my own quiet pride. I had done it. I had created something real, something that was mine. But just as I started to feel a sense of accomplishment, a familiar feeling of doubt crept in. What if it wasn't enough? What if people didn't appreciate my work the way I hoped they would? What if the pressure to succeed overwhelmed me? I couldn't help but remember the days when I had first started this journey. The uncertainty, the fear of failure. It all felt so far away now, but the memories still lingered. I had come so far, but was I really ready for the world to see me as more than just a girl with a dream? I shook my head, trying to push the thoughts away. This was my moment. This was the culmination of years of hard work, and I couldn't let doubt take that from me. As I was lost in my thoughts, the door to the studio opened, and in walked David. His presence had always been a reassuring constant in my life, and today was no different. He smiled when he saw me, a look of pride in his eyes. "I see you've made some incredible progress," he said, his voice warm and genuine. "It's beautiful, Lily. You've really turned this place into something special." I smiled back, feeling a sense of relief wash over me. His approval meant more than I could ever express. "Thank you," I replied, my voice thick with emotion. "I couldn't have done it without you." David stepped closer, taking in the artwork around him. "You've done all the hard work," he said. "I only gave you the chance, but you've turned that opportunity into something extraordinary." As his words settled in, I realized that for the first time, I wasn't just living for the approval of others. I wasn't just working to prove something to someone else. I was doing this for myself, and that realization gave me more confidence than anything else ever could. "I've been thinking," I said, my voice steady now, "about what you said when we first met, about how you believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. I think that's the key to everything." David looked at me, his expression softening. "What do you mean?" "I mean," I continued, "that I was so caught up in my own fears, my own doubts, that I couldn't see how much potential I had. But you saw it. You saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself. And because of that, I've been able to do something I never thought possible. You gave me the confidence to believe in myself." David nodded, a proud smile playing at the corner of his lips. "That's what it's all about, Lily. Sometimes, all we need is someone who believes in us when we can't believe in ourselves. And you've taken that belief and turned it into something beautiful." I stood there, in the middle of the studio, feeling a surge of gratitude. Not just for the opportunity he had given me, but for the unwavering support he had shown me every step of the way. I still have a lot to learn, I admitted. And I know there will be challenges ahead. But I'm not as afraid anymore. I feel ready to face whatever comes next. David smiled, his eyes filled with warmth. You're more than ready, Lily. You've already proven that. I looked around the studio once more, taking in the space that had become a symbol of my journey. It wasn't just a place to create art, it was a reflection of who I had become. And in that moment, I knew I was exactly where I was meant to be. Thank you, I said again, my voice filled with sincerity. I'll never forget how much you've helped me. I'll keep moving forward no matter what. David placed a hand on my shoulder, a gesture of reassurance. I know you will, and I'll be right here, cheering you on every step of the way. As I walked out of the studio that evening, I felt a sense of peace that had eluded me for so long. The future was still uncertain, and there would be obstacles to overcome, but for the first time, I was ready. I had everything I needed inside me to succeed. And no matter where life took me next, I knew I would face it with confidence, with passion, and with the belief that I was capable of more than I had ever imagined. I walked into the studio that morning, the familiar smell of fresh paint and the sound of light chatter in the air. The space was more than just a room now, it was a testament to everything I had worked for. A tangible reflection of my dreams and determination. The walls, filled with my art, the air alive with the energy of creativity. It all felt so real. But as much as I had come to love this place, there was still something gnawing at me, a feeling that wouldn't go away. It had been a few weeks since David had last visited, and though things were going well, there was a part of me that wondered what was next. What did he think of my progress? I had grown so much in such a short time, but I couldn't shake the fear that I was still far from being truly successful. I stood there for a moment, just taking it all in, when my phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out, hoping it was a message from him. Sure enough, it was. Lily, how are things going? I hope everything is still on track. Let me know if you need anything. I smiled, my heart lightening at the sight of his message. David had always been so supportive, and even though I was standing in the middle of my own dream come true, I still felt his guidance with me. I typed a quick reply, feeling a mix of excitement and uncertainty. Everything is going great, David. The studio is really coming together. I've been getting more visitors, and the feedback has been amazing. But I don't know. Sometimes I still feel like I'm not quite there yet. It wasn't that I didn't believe in myself anymore, but there was a part of me that still questioned whether I was truly on the right path. His reply came swiftly. Lily, you're doing something incredible. You've already achieved so much. I think sometimes we all feel like we're not there yet, but trust me, you're further than you think. Keep going. I'm proud of everything you've done. I read his message over and over, trying to let it sink in. It was easy to doubt myself, to feel like I wasn't doing enough, but David was right. I had come so far. The doubts began to fade, replaced by a renewed sense of determination. I wasn't just building a studio, I was building a future. But even with the encouragement, there was still the question in the back of my mind. What did David expect from me? He had been so generous, so kind, but I didn't want to feel like I owed him something. What if he expected me to succeed because he had given me this chance? I stood there for a few moments, looking at my work, the light filtering through the windows, and I realized something. I wasn't working to prove anything to David. I wasn't even working to prove anything to anyone else. I was doing this for myself. This was my dream, my passion, and no one could take that away from me. As the day wore on, I threw myself into my work with renewed focus. I met with a few customers, discussed potential exhibitions, and started planning for the next phase of the studio's development. It was all moving so quickly, but I was ready. I was no longer afraid of the future. Later that evening, as I was finishing up for the day, the door to the studio opened, and in walked David. He looked around the space with a smile, taking in the changes since his last visit. I had a feeling I'd find you here, he said, his voice warm. It looks incredible, Lily. You've really turned this place into something special. My heart swelled with pride. Thank you, David. It's all starting to feel real. He stepped closer, his gaze shifting to the artwork on the walls. It's amazing what you've accomplished, he said, his voice quieter now, almost reflective. When I first met you, I could see your potential, but I didn't realize just how much you were capable of. You've proven that, not just to me, but to yourself." His words left me speechless for a moment. I had worked so hard to get here, but hearing him say that was more meaningful than any success or achievement I could have imagined. "I didn't think I could do it," I said, my voice shaking a little. "But now, I don't want to stop. I want to keep pushing forward, no matter how hard it gets." David smiled, a look of genuine pride in his eyes. "And that's the key, Lily. It's not about being perfect, and it's not about doing everything the right way every time. It's about continuing to move forward, even when things get tough." I nodded, a new sense of clarity settling over me. I had been so focused on what I didn't have or what I hadn't accomplished, but now I understood. The journey wasn't about the end result, it was about the growth, the experiences, and the way you learn to overcome obstacles. "Thank you," I whispered, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "I never could have gotten here without you." David placed a hand on my shoulder, his expression kind. "You've always had it in you, Lily. I just helped you see it." I smiled, feeling a surge of confidence I hadn't known I needed. This was just the beginning. There would be challenges, there would be moments of doubt, but I knew now that I could face them all. With David's belief in me, and my own growing belief in myself, I could accomplish anything. As I walked out of the studio that night, I felt lighter than I had in months. The future was no longer a source of fear, it was a path I was ready to walk, step by step, creating the life I had always dreamed of. I walked into the studio that morning, a sense of calm settling over me as I surveyed the space. The light streaming through the large windows felt like a personal invitation to embrace the day. Everything was coming together, slowly but surely. It had been several months since I first opened the doors of the studio, and every moment since then had been filled with both challenge and reward. I had worked hard to create something meaningful, not just for myself, but for everyone who walked through these doors. But even though the studio was flourishing, there was still one thing that remained on my mind. The one question I had been avoiding: what was my next step? I had reached this point thanks to David's belief in me, and with his continued support, my dreams had started to take shape in a way I never thought possible. But now that I had reached this level of success, I found myself wondering what more I could do. What was next for me? Just as I was lost in thought, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out and saw a message from David. "I've been thinking about you and your progress. Would you like to meet up later today to discuss the next steps for the studio? I have a few ideas I'd like to share with you." I smiled at the message, feeling both excited and apprehensive. This was the moment I had been waiting for. The opportunity to take everything to the next level. I quickly typed back, "I'd love to meet. Let me know when and where." We agreed to meet later that afternoon at a nearby cafe. When I arrived, I found David already seated at a table near the window. He greeted me with a warm smile and gestured for me to sit. "How's everything going?" he asked, his voice filled with genuine curiosity. "It's going great," I replied, my confidence growing with each passing day. "The studio has been doing really well. I'm getting more customers, more attention, and I feel like everything is finally coming together." David nodded thoughtfully, clearly pleased with my progress. "I've been following your success, and I couldn't be more proud of what you've accomplished. But I want you to start thinking bigger." My heart skipped a beat. "Bigger?" I asked. My curiosity piqued. "What do you mean?" David smiled and leaned forward slightly, as if he was about to share a secret. "Lily, I see so much potential in you. I don't just want you to run a studio. I want you to think about creating a movement, something that can inspire others the way you've inspired me. Your art, your story, it's powerful. And I think you can reach more people than you realize." I sat back, stunned by his words. I had always wanted to create something meaningful, but I never thought about it on such a large scale. David was right. My art had always been about more than just self-expression. It had been about telling a story, connecting with others. Could I really turn that into something bigger, something that could inspire others? The idea both excited and terrified me. "I don't know if I'm ready for something like that," I admitted, the doubt creeping in again. "I mean, what if I fail? What if I can't live up to that kind of expectation?" David looked at me, his gaze unwavering. "Lily, you've already proven to yourself that you can do the impossible. You've built this studio from nothing, and you've touched people with your work. I'm not asking you to be perfect, but I'm asking you to take the next step. I believe in you." His words hit me harder than I expected. David had been my mentor, my guide, but hearing him say that he believed in me with such certainty made me feel like I could do anything. I had spent so long doubting myself, wondering if I was good enough. But now, standing here, I felt something shift inside me. I was more than just a girl with a dream. I was someone who had proven she could make that dream a reality. "You really think I can do it?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. David smiled, a soft but confident smile. "I know you can." The weight of his words settled in, and for the first time in a long time, I felt ready. I had always been afraid of taking risks, of putting myself out there, but now I realized that taking the next step was the only way to move forward. It wouldn't be easy, and it certainly wouldn't be without challenges, but I was ready to face whatever came next. "Okay," I said, my voice steady. "I'll do it. I'll take the next step." David's smile widened, and I could see the pride in his eyes. "That's the spirit," he said. "I have no doubt that you'll succeed, and I'll be right here to support you, every step of the way." As we finished our coffee, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The future was no longer a source of fear. It was full of possibilities, full of new opportunities. I had the chance to create something meaningful, something that could touch lives. And with David's belief in me, I knew I could do it. It wasn't just about the studio anymore. It was about making an impact, leaving a legacy, and most importantly, believing in myself. As I left the cafe that afternoon, I felt a spark of excitement ignite within me. The journey wasn't over, it was just beginning. And this time, I was ready for whatever came next. I stood in the studio, feeling the weight of the last few months lift off my shoulders. It had been a whirlwind of challenges, growth, and moments of doubt. But now, as I looked around at the space I had built with my own hands, I felt a deep sense of accomplishment. The studio was thriving, and more importantly, I had become someone I was proud to be. The fear, the uncertainty, they had all been part of the journey, but they no longer had a hold on me. I had proven to myself that I could make this dream a reality. I could feel the energy of the room as the soft hum of the lights mixed with the sounds of conversation and laughter from the visitors I had started to welcome in. The studio had become more than just a place to create art. It had become a community, a space where people connected over their shared love for creativity. But as much as I had achieved, there was still something left unsaid, something I had been meaning to do. I picked up my phone and sent a message to David. "I've been thinking a lot about everything. I can't thank you enough for everything you've done for me. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And because of that, I've been able to do things I never thought possible. I want to make sure you know how much that means to me." I paused for a moment, my finger hovering over the keyboard. This wasn't just about the studio or the success. It was about everything he had done for me. He had shown me what it meant to believe in someone, to give them a chance when no one else would. I added, "I hope I can make you proud with what I've built here." The reply came quickly, as I knew it would. "Lily, I've never been more proud of you. You've done everything yourself. I've just been here to guide you. You've taken that guidance and turned it into something truly extraordinary. And you've made me proud, not just because of the success you've achieved, but because of the person you've become." I read his words over and over, the warmth of his encouragement wrapping around me like a comforting embrace. It was more than just praise. It was a recognition of the journey we had both been on. I felt a deep sense of gratitude, but also something else, a quiet certainty that the road ahead was just as important as the one that brought me here. The next day, I stood in front of the studio, watching as the city went about its usual rhythm. There was a moment of stillness, and in that moment, I realized something. This wasn't just about the art I created, or the studio I had built. It was about what I had learned along the way, the strength to keep going, to push past my fears, to take the risks even when they seemed too big to handle. It was about believing in myself, even when no one else did. I didn't need to prove myself to anyone anymore. I had already done that for myself. The journey had never been about the destination. It had always been about the growth along the way, the lessons learned, and the people I had met. David had been a part of that growth, a catalyst for change in my life, but it was up to me to carry it forward. As I stepped inside the studio, I looked around one last time, soaking in the moment. The work was far from over. There were still dreams to chase, still new ideas to explore, Still so much I wanted to accomplish. But I wasn't afraid anymore. I was ready for whatever came next. I didn't know where this path would lead, but I knew one thing for certain. I was ready to walk it, step by step, with confidence and belief in myself. As the door to the studio closed behind me, I felt a sense of peace. The future was open, full of possibility, and I was exactly where I needed to be. In this inspiring story, a young woman transforms her life through hard work, determination, and a life-changing opportunity, reflecting the essence of millionaire stories that show how belief and support can turn dreams into reality. She overcomes self-doubt and creates her own successful art studio, proving that with the right guidance, anything is possible. The story touches on how mentorship and kindness from a millionaire can ignite the spark for someone to chase their dreams and build a future they never thought possible, making it one of the most heartwarming millionaire stories you'll hear. Despite facing challenges, she learns to trust herself and push past her fears, realizing that the journey of growth and learning is more important than the destination itself, a key theme often seen in millionaire stories. With the belief of a successful mentor, she embraces the opportunities ahead, ready to face whatever comes next and continue building on her success, solidifying this as one of the most inspiring millionaire stories ever told.